Bro, this is why there's so much confirmation of God in my life, because I should have died hundreds of times. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been in drive-bys. Like,
Yeah.
looking and knowing me who I am now, if I told you the stories, you'd be like, you're lying.
No, I believe you.
But
You have a hand tattoo.
I didn't even
All
have
I
that.
want to say is Believer Mike likes the microphone this way. What's up, guys? This week I had an opportunity to speak with Believer Mike, Michael Lopez from Believer Media. We talked about religion, God. He's definitely a believer. His name says so. And the wrong path that we sometimes take at an early age, what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur, social media strategies that you can implement today to become successful and get more exposure. Hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Keep swinging, and we'll see you on the next one. Ba-da-da-da. Deuces.
You know how we do. Oh, we got Rocky in the house? Mr. Balboa. Let's go. So what's your cute side? So I figured out this app. Does it swing out? Yeah, it does. It does?
And then it shows you, it completely takes it away. Let's go, man. Dude, people speak so soft, man.
Yeah, because they're scared and they've never been on TV before.
It's the thing is, once the camera's on,
Can I hear myself or no? You don't have headphones?
Nah. You like to hear yourself?
Yeah, I like, well, just to set it, like to set my gain, and that way I can see if I'm peaking or whatnot.
Gotcha.
Because I don't have the splitter. I just have my microphone.
Mm.
I'm gonna have a podcast soon, and I'll have you.
Yeah, I'm
It's at my
down.
house, so you're gonna have to like step on kids to get to my office. But
Well, look at my shit. I'm like fucking cramming everything in here, man. It's yeah. Before I had it set up where my desk was actually like right where the camera is, and I'm like, you know what, man? Like at the end of the day, I just really need to, like I just want to use it for podcasts. Like I don't meet with clients in here.
yeah.
You like that look better?
Can I move this up a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
You recording already?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, bro. I didn't know we were recording already.
Yeah,
Hey.
see that's
Hey, he's quick, man. He's quick. You gotta watch this guy. He's quick.
it's easier that way because people, like what I was saying earlier, it's like people get nervous on camera. They've never been on camera.
Yeah, you just record. Don't tell him,
I don't.
and then you just start the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh wait, you've been recording?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah." And exactly what you were saying. That's
Yeah. You can pull
Peachy.
the best nuggets, bro.
it's
You get the
be
best
careful
nuggets.
with this one. That's your mute button.
Did I mute myself?
No. You're still good. I can still see
Alright.
you're good. But yeah, a lot of the stuff, man, like the simple things of like frames per second, right?
Hey, don't tell nobody I didn't make a podcast already.
Who?
That I never built a podcast. Don't tell nobody.
No, I won't, man. It's not like we're gonna put this on the internet or anything.
It's gonna go viral.
I mean, especially with that beard, bro.
I
Just beard
shaved
gang.
it, bro. It's a baby beard now. Back to baby beard. I'll grow
See,
it
but
back.
you look way thinner, bro. Way thinner in person.
That's because I'm wearing a bigger shirt. It helps.
No.
Oh.
Because when you have your
Oh,
big
yeah,
ass
bro.
beard,
It makes me look like. First of all, it makes my head look huge.
it makes you look like this big dude.
I do have a big head too, though.
Well, you said that on the last picture that we took.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. When I have my beard, my face takes up like the whole screen. Especially because I'm like trying to selfie it too, so I'm like the closest one.
No, but when I saw it the other day, and then I saw you, I think the next day at We Rep, or I don't know, where did I see you? Yeah, We Rep.
Maybe.
We went to because you spoke last week, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, damn, dude, you look so much thinner in
I
person,
shaved
dude.
right before.
Yeah, you look
Yeah.
so much.
Even my
usually-
newest video I haven't put out yet,
Uh-huh.
but I shaved, and I'm like, watch, I'll show you really quick.
Yeah.
But it's a big difference in look at, like I don't look like a big guy, you know what I mean? Because you can't tell how tall I am or how big I am
Yeah.
on
But-
the camera like that, you know?
The thing about it, man, is that I Have you ever been to a studio, like a legit like TV
Yeah.
studio?
Mhm.
So I love going to that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's
You look at all
interesting.
the stuff, you're like, all I can think about is how much money they spent on all this equipment.
Yeah.
And how I'm probably never gonna have any of this equipment.
You know,
Never say never.
there's this dude that does the editing for Flagrant. Have you ever seen the podcast Flagrant?
No.
All right. So there's this kid, and he says, I think it's like a short clip, but my $10,000 editing computer. Right.
That's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. But then I started to build out the laptop that I have now.
But just the computer though, like right, just like the insides of the computer, that's actually pretty cheap.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you can go like easy 50 grand on like a editing software and all the highest game graphics cards and all that stuff. You can spend a lot of money on the
I was over
processor and-
$8,000.
You were?
I was.
and you're
And then I'm like, wait a minute.
yeah,
I can't fuck with this. This is just too much. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not an editor. Like, I'm a novice that's learning and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I immediately had to just empty my shopping cart. Like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But when I saw the 10,000, I'm like, damn, that must be a legit ass computer. But I was already at 8. So obviously it's not like the highest scale computer, but that's
No.
still a good computer,
of course.
you know, obviously.
Oh, dude, I spent like $2,600 on my Apple,
Mm-hmm.
and it's does everything I need to do for now. You know, it's,
Do you
it's
use
good for what it is.
Do you use a Air Mac or what is it?
MacBook Pro.
You use a MacBook
Yeah,
Pro?
I got 2023 MacBook Pro with the M1.
Hmm.
So 1 terabyte. It's got everything that I need.
Yeah.
Like I used to do like a lot of Premiere Pro stuff. I messed with Final Cut before, but I just found it so time consuming to learn all that. And I'm like, I've been in the point where I'm like, okay, I enjoy doing creative things, but at the same time, like I have a family to support. So
Right.
I can be creative all that I want, but if I'm not making money while I'm being creative, that poses an issue. So I'm like, how can I be the most productive with still being creative and making money for my family to support? And that comes with learning the basics of these things and then understanding them just enough to where you could pass it on to somebody else, charge just enough to where you can pay that person and still make money. And then you're having you know what to expect when you're dealing with an editor. So like I hired an editor and he's awesome, but I had to kind of tweak him a little bit to explain to him what I was looking for, right? And so, you know, I've been blessed and he's been very efficient with me. But same thing with learning the post and, you know, learning camera stuff. Like this all self-taught. I'm a high school dropout, bro. Like, and I feel like because I couldn't focus in that learning environment, I wasn't learning stuff that I wanted to learn.
Right.
But if I focus in on like graphic design, bro, I learned everything there is to know about graphic design in 1 year because I lived out of a graphic design and print shop and I ran the shop. And it was just super ironic how I got in there. But once I was in there, my creativity started thriving because I was able to put my ideas into digital and then turn it into print, physical. And to me, that was just fascinating. Like God created me to do this. And I'm like, and now I have a knack for it. So I help people build their brands. And all I got to do is ask them a few questions, talk with them for like 15 minutes. And I understand the vision exactly how it is in their head. And I can bring it to life to where somebody that's not creative or they have a vision, but they don't know what to do after that, they feel stuck. You know what I mean? So they're like, I need to hire somebody to do. I've been blessed to be able to do that and bring people's ideas to life. And that's where I've gotten my like my real, like I'm able to do what I love and get paid for it, you
Yeah.
know? So I was stuck in the restaurant industry for a long time. And that was right up my alley because I'm a server, right? I'm a servant by nature. I'm a servant and I'm a craftsman. So I'm very crafty and creative. So in being in the restaurant industry, yes, it was paying the bills. But did I want to do that forever? No. Like I wanted to create. If I don't create stuff, I get depressed. I'll start getting depressed. Like you with art,
Mm-hmm.
like these are hobbies, but how awesome does it feel after you're done with it and you look at it and you're like, that's tight. You know? Like you get like this sensation from it.
I think honestly, man, I don't know who it is. I think it's Sean Cassell. And I want to reference Sean Cassell, but at the end of the day, it's Think Media, right? So Think Media podcast, Think Media.
Sean Cannell.
Sean Cannell.
Wait, Sean.
I think it's Cassell.
No, it's Sean. Why am I drawing a blank? I grew up watching him.
A handsome ass white boy.
Yeah. He a white dude.
Yeah, he'd be looking like Zach Morris, man. Well, not really, but I just call let's just call him
Carnell?
Zach. Huh? Sean Cassell.
Cannell.
Think Media.
Think Media. We know who we're talking about. And then Omar, and you got all the dudes at Think Media.
Right.
Shout out Think Media.
Exactly, man. And so one of the things he was saying,
Sean Cannell.
okay, Sean Cannell. It's when you're in that creative process,
Yeah.
right? When you're in the creative process, it takes you away from looking at comments. It takes you away from, let's say, judging yourself.
Right.
If someone else said it and it wasn't Sean, then shout out to the person who did say it. But I reference a lot of the things, and so I don't focus on comments, dude. I could care less whether my stuff goes viral. Thankfully, some of my stuff does go viral.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't hurt my ego because I'm just constantly creating. I'm constantly learning.
Yep.
What you were saying earlier about like spending time with your family, and basically to me, it's arbitrage, right? It's to say, well, I learned enough so that I know that when I hire someone, I know what I'm asking them specifically.
Expectations. Yeah.
Yeah, because price, right? Like that's one of the things
It's the
for me.
key.
Price of videos and editing and all the stuff that you do for your clients. Once you actually start doing it, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's why they charge so much.
Yeah. Yep.
It's insane the amount of time that it takes to learn these things. One of the things that I've been very particular about is not hiring someone until I really, on myself, know a lot of the things. So for example, on a video that I was working on today, that's why I told you I needed your help. It's giving me an error message. So I Googled it, and then it tells me basically on certain if you're shooting on certain frames per second, look at this, then divide it this many frames per second. That's where the error is within the clip. And then you got to find it, and then there's something wrong within that clip that it's not picking up, or it's not there's an issue with it.
Yeah.
But it's something that I need to understand, because someone that, again, like if I shoot it and then I send it to someone, they're like, oh man, I can't get it. And then they explain it to me. I want to be able to understand it.
Right.
But the other part is, can that person edit in my style, the style that I want?
That is the key, bro, because you have a style, and I honestly, what works for me and the clients that I have right now is making them look like a local influencer, right? And there's not many people in this area that are producing those videos. However, I didn't come up with that style of video. That's a trending style of video. I found out how to do it. So I found out how to copy it and to make it and to offer it, right? But then it goes back to, okay, well, now that I know how to do it, I need to know how much to charge. Because at first, bro, I was not charging enough.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, I'm still not charging enough. But it's important to get in the door and maybe do things cheaper at the beginning.
You have to.
That way you can work and practice, get better. And then as you learn and get better, you can charge more. And then now you have a portfolio. You can show people. They're like, I want that. Like, I got to have that. I don't care how much it costs. I got to have that,
Well, it's to say that's like a tattoo artist, right? So obviously we enjoy tattoos. You look at their book, right? Or back in the day,
Their
you would walk in, you look
yeah.
at their portfolio, and then you see the pieces that they're putting in there. Well, the pieces that you're putting in your portfolio as an editor, as a social media manager, are the videos and the content of the clients that you're working with. Well, some of those clients might not have the level of success to be able to pay a solid price. So it's almost like you're both helping each other out, but you're the one that's the expert in the field of being able to shoot and edit those videos that carry a certain style. And I would do that. I would tell Diego, and he hates the fact that I like the videos the way that you shoot them. That's not his style at all whatsoever. He hates really close up videos. I love really close up videos.
Well, there's a psychological aspect behind that.
Oh, what? You're
when
cute,
you're talking
and
to
then
people, No, when you're talking to people, you want to feel like you have their attention, right?
Mm.
So if you're chest up, that's
Mm.
the rule. Chest up, head in the center, leave room for captions below, and then leave room for your lighting and your background
Mhm.
because your brand goes in your background. So those are kind of the rules. Make sure you're center. And now it's personable because now you're face to face with somebody and people relate to other people, you know, unless you're selling a product, which in the business that we're not really selling a product. We're selling ourselves, you know.
Right.
This is we're the brand, right? And we work for a business. So for me, it's Believer Media. But I'm the brand. I'm the one that's out there. I'm selling Believer Media. So if I'm making videos, I want to be face to face with you because now it makes it more personal, you know? So
It's
there's a psyche behind it.
well, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
To me, I would watch videos on mute because, like, a lot of times, like, I'm just
Gotta have the captions. Yeah. Like I think 80 or 90% of people that watch reels or
Mhm.
stories have it with no audio.
yeah, like
It's an insane amount. And I'm like, oh, wow. And people just sit there and read it.
well, no. So, like when I was trying to look at like different styles, you know, I'm going through
Oh,
different
yeah.
podcasts, different things, and the ones that I would stop on are the ones that are very close up, just like the way that you shoot. And Diego or Mike, for example, they like a very outward shot. They like more in the picture.
Yeah.
And so everybody's going to want their own particular style. And so,
Right.
like, to me, it's just very important. Like, if I'm shooting a particular style, if I'm shooting a particular color grade or audio or music, I haven't wanted to let go of that yet. Eventually, I think I'm going to have to.
Mm.
Like, it's a creative process of, like, okay, shooting, obviously, the videos, maybe doing like the master edit, and then, hey, now chop up these clips. But I enjoy that learning process.
Yeah.
My mom sent me a video yesterday and she's like, hey, how cool. She sent it to me on TikTok and it was of someone painting, right? But they were painting. So like, for example, this here, they had sheets of paper, not sheets of paper, tape, right? So like colored tape.
Yeah.
And then they would paint like, you know, one square a certain way, remove the tape,
Right.
you know. And so to me, what I responded to my mom was that's cheating. Like you're not just
You're not painting
creating
a straight line. Yeah.
yeah, you're just not painting, for
Right.
example. And so I've always said I want to learn the hard way.
Mm.
Like all this stuff, dude,
Yep.
it's like I want to learn the hard way.
Yep.
Once I learn the hard way, okay, cool. Now I'm going to put some tape here so it doesn't get there. And then the easy way. Same thing with like videos. I found on some videos I was missing a plugin, right? It says missing plugin, missing plugin. I'm like, what the fuck does this mean?
Yeah.
So then it's like Googling what's a plugin, then finding the media source, then finding the file to then, you know, actually be there. I took an hour. So I'm normally up between like 5 and 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so it said I had done a complete video missing plugin. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to delete this shit and start over. But instead of doing that, I said, I have to troubleshoot this. I
Yeah.
want to figure out what's really wrong. Took me an hour, but I found how to find the missing plugin, relink it, and then my video was done. Like
Yep.
it was not a problem.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have panicked. I would have done it again,
Mhm.
wasted more time. And I said, I can't do that. I have to figure this out. And so all this creative stuff, man, is an outlet for me. It doesn't generate any money, like for
Right.
me, because I have my like primary source of business, but it is a stress reliever.
Yes.
Like I love talking to people. I like getting to know different ways and methods of how people think and how they run their business.
Right.
So I enjoy it, man. I enjoy it a lot, especially like with stuff with you, because I could talk to you about things that are just in line with how I see things. You and I have talked a lot
Right.
about media and what we see, and it's refreshing to see people that are like you.
Yeah. You know, one thing you brought up that really hits home with me because I was like that. I've been like that in everything that I've done. Construction was my first love. Then I got into the restaurant industry. And then I got into creative and media and stuff like that. But the one thing with me is that, so I had an opportunity to go from one restaurant as a busser to straight to a server at a different restaurant. And we opened up this restaurant. It was a Buffalo Wild Wings down in Miraloma.
B-dubs.
B-dubs, yep. Shout out B-dubs. My friend he was the bartender at Red Lobster where I was bussing, and he got a job, general manager job at B-dubs at Miraloma we were just opening it. And he's like, I'm taking you with me. He's like, I'm gonna make you a server. And when we got there, something in me wanted to start from the bottom. I didn't want to be a server right away. I wanted to learn. It was because it was all new items, new menu, new food, a new crowd, a completely different crowd. And so I asked him, I said, look, can I start out at the cashier? And he's like, sure. I'm like, I want to learn this new system. He's like, okay. And then I'm like, hey, can I spend a couple weeks in the kitchen? I want to learn how they make the food. I want to learn the food. And he started seeing what I was doing. And he's like,
You're fired.
He's like, you're going to be a manager one day. And I'm like, I don't want to be a manager. Like, I make way more money than a manager does.
Yeah.
No offense, but it's true. Most people in the restaurant know that. So anyway, I worked my way up, and I started from the bottom, and eventually I was a manager. I've been general manager. I've been every position there is to be in the restaurant industry. I was in and out of the restaurant industry for 12 years. But when I started in media, it was like I started from scratch. And I'll give you a quick backstory. I was in a tight spot in my life at this time, and it was I had a friend that owned a tent shop in Upland. So shout out Junior at the tent shop. But I was going through a rough time, and honestly, half the time I was living out of the tent shop, and I ended up just helping him run the business and bring people in and manage the money and manage the people that came in and everything, receipts and all that, answering phones. And this is back in 2012, and I go through this. The first slide of my media mindset, I show the first ad that I ever did for social media, and he hit me up. He's like, hey bro, if you bring your people in, he's like, tell them $80 a pop for full tent, and I'll give you $20 a car. And I'm like, all right, cool. This was before media was even anything to think of advertising on. It was more for just photos. That's what Instagram was made for. So I got this cheap little cheesy app, made this ghetto flyer, said $80 full tent, hit me up, put my number on there, and posted it, and we blew up. Like, it was, people were hitting me up. It was the lead magnet. It was the $80 that was bringing people in. Obviously, it wasn't the design or anything else. It was the value of the lead magnet that was bringing people in. So that's where I kind of saw the power of social media. While at the same time, he's like, hey bro, can you go pick up my business cards are right down the street? I'm like, all right, cool. And to make extra money on the side, I'm using my creativity, and I was going to thrift stores and piecing costumes together, piece by piece, authentic looking costumes, bro.
Costumes
costumes like I did a Wyatt Earp costume, I did a Mad Hatter costume, we did a Fear and Loathing costume. Like, I would piece all these different clothing parts together from all the different thrift shops. Like, I used to know where all the thrift shops were, bro. And my mom, shout out mom, she always took me to thrift stores, always took me to garage sales, always took me to the swap meets, and I grew up in that. So I feel like comfortable there. I feel like that's stress relieving for me. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I love going to thrift shops. Even if I don't buy anything, it's just like seeing other people's stuff and seeing items that I grew up like having in my household. Anyway, so I go pick up his business cards from this little shop, and half the shop is graphic designers, the other half is all print and production. And so I see these mannequins, and at the time I was looking for mannequins because I wanted to dress them and take pictures of my costumes that I was making. And so the guy, I'm like, hey, how much are you selling those mannequins? And he's like, yeah. He goes, they're YSL mannequins. I had no idea what YSL was. He's like, they're $150 each. And I'm like, oh dang, like, that's too much. And he's like, do you have a clothesline? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, what do you need them for? And I'm like, well, I make costumes, and I wanted to, display them, take pictures. He's like, well, if you want, just bring your costumes down here. You can use them. And I'm like, sweet, dude. So I pick up the cards, I jam out, and sure enough, I take him up on his offer. I go down there with my bins. I'm talking cowboy hats, real authentic cowboy hats that I would get from the swap meet. And so I dress these costumes up. Remind me to show you pictures. Or I dress these mannequins up, and he walks in, and he's the head graphic designer. And he's like, you made those? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, dude, you're super creative. And I'm like, thanks, dude. And he's like, have you ever tried graphic design? And I'm like, no. He's like, you're not familiar with Photoshop at all? And I'm like, I can get down on the paint tool thing. And he was like, no. He's like, do you have a computer? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you want to learn graphic design? And I'm like, sure. He's like, bring your computer down, and he's like, I'll start teaching you. He's like, I need another graphic designer. We're getting busy. I'm like, all right, sweet. So I freaking haul in my compact tower, and I have my big monitor that's all ghetto, and all the graphic designers on their iPads are like, or on their laptops are like looking at me. They're like, who's this guy? Like, and he like looks at me, and I'm like, he's like, you don't have a laptop? And I'm like, no, bro, you just said bring my computer. And he's like, no worries, dude. So he like stationed me right next to him, and I soaked up graphic design like a sponge, bro. And that's where I was going with, like, high school dropout. I didn't want to learn what they were teaching me in high school. To be completely honest, I was only going to high school to sell weed.
Yeah.
I got introduced to that at 15 years old, and that's what I did for 15 years. And, there was a different plan for me, but so I learned graphic design because I wanted to. I thrived off of it. So it was easy for me to obtain and to hold in. So once I learned that, I started learning the print side of things. What files to create, what sizes, bleed, all that stuff, right? And then they had big accounts. So they had like Bone Thugs and Harmony as an account. They had Insomniac. They had the Improv. Like they had really big accounts that were good for me to learn from. And eventually they asked me, hey, you're living in the tent shop. You want to live down here? There's a shower and an extra room in the back. I'm like, yeah, okay, but you have to run the shop. Cool. So I was there, dude, and I lived there for a year, and I ran the shop. And eventually I'm like, I could start my own business with this. So that was my first run at starting my own business. And in this business, I was offering graphic design, I was offering print, and I was offering social media management, because I would do ads for people. And at the time, bro, I was busy. To be real, I just wasn't charging enough because I didn't know anything about that. But that's how where I'm at now was born. I failed 3 companies doing this, and this is the last one. But this is the only one that I'm sober-minded. I don't drink. I was an alcoholic. I don't smoke weed anymore. I was a huge pothead, and I dabbled in other things that I shouldn't have been. But I've been completely sober for 7 years, and I was humbled. The Lord humbled me and brought me back up. He broke me down and built me back up stronger than I've ever been. And he gave me Believer Media, so that way now I can support my family, and I can also serve and create at the same time now on my time.
Dude, your story, man, like what you're telling me, it reminds me a lot of the things that I've gone through. So there was a time in my life where I was at rock bottom.
Yeah.
And like how you said, $80 for a tint and then $20 to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh shit. Hell yeah, I'm doing this for $20. I need $20.
Yeah.
Like
right?
I need $20 right now.
Bro,
like,
but he was knocking out cars. Like he was knocking out cars, and I was making like, there was days where he would do like 12 cars.
That's the thing, man. Like it's all about your mindset, and where is your mindset? Like, can you execute, and can you figure out a way to think outside the box to bring in those clients? And you took maybe like a complete different direction that was available at the time, but you tried it, you saw that it worked, and then you leaned into it. Life will present you opportunities like that gentleman to tell you, hey, you weren't trying.
No.
But it presented an opportunity that then he said, hey, let me take you under my wing, let me show you, but then you have to be willing to execute.
Yep.
You have to be willing
to work.
100%. So Diego and I and Mike, we do an entrepreneurship program for the kids at Chaffee High School. And we said that we were going to mentor 3 different kids. It was a clothing company, a shoe company, and a podcast.
Nice.
So all of them reached out. All of them reached out the day of and the day after the event. It was like a Shark Tank event. They present. And I'm like, okay, I'll mentor you. And basically there was about 20 to 30 kids. And then I picked the ones that I wanted to mentor. So I spoke with one of them this week. I let a month and a half go by after the event. And I said, "Hey, I think it's a good thing that you reached out. That's awesome that you reached out. You sent me your number." I said, "But you only reached out once."
Yeah.
I said, "If this really interests you," because that's one of the questions that one of the other sharks said, "Hey, what do you think is a good question to ask these kids?" Well, I think we should ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, are you doing this because it's for class? Or are you doing this because you're really interested in it?
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to mentor a kid that's just doing it for class. That's a waste of my time.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. I don't have time for that. So what I mentioned to this kid yesterday was, if you really want to do this clothing company, you cannot let a month and a half go by and then have me reach out.
You got to be hungry.
You got to be hungry for it.
Yeah. If you're not hungry, then it ain't, you're just gonna, you're just not ready.
Nope.
You know what I mean? When you're ready, you're hungry.
I did the same thing last year with another group of kids. And, with some of them, that's why I learned my lesson with kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I reached out to them. I checked in with them like over and over and over. And it's like, wait, these kids are not even interested in this.
No.
Like, this is a class assignment. Going back to your situation as far as school, dude,
Yeah.
I ditched all the fucking time.
Yeah.
All the time.
I ditched for life.
Yes, exactly, bro. I would, every single class, I would ask to go to the restroom, right? Not because I had a potty problem, but because I don't want to be in the dang classroom.
Yeah, everyone has ADD. If you're in a position where you just don't want to be there, you're gonna get antsy. Everyone has ADD, and the government just wanted to put a what do you call it? A
It's making the frogs gay.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So,
yeah.
I would honestly be roaming around campus all the time, going to different classrooms. Thankfully, I say this now, my mom would always make me go to summer school.
Right.
So I was always ahead in credits. Always ahead in credits. And so I would ditch. A lot of times I wouldn't do homework assignments. Literally, like I remember a math class, I did 0 homework assignments, but I'm very good at retaining information. So like while people are talking, I could hear it, and I would be very good at taking tests. Like just I've even with my real estate license or my loan officer's license, like figure out. The way that I read questions is figure out read the last sentence, read it backwards, read the last sentence, read the questions, then read the front, eliminate the extra fluff that's in there, then go back to the questions, eliminate the 2 that are not required, and then process of elimination. Like logic, like use logic.
Right. What's sad is they don't teach that.
It's that's the thing. In high school, they're teaching academics for people that are probably going to get into a world of academics, maybe a doctor, maybe a lawyer. Well, how many doctors and lawyers are there versus how many people work at a warehouse? How many of us work at a tint shop? How many of us work, at a restaurant?
Right.
They don't teach you life stuff.
No, and that's why I've always said they need to add a restaurant class, like a serving 101 class in high school.
They need to add your first day in jail class.
Yeah.
Hey, when you go in, they're going to ask you, are you a wood, are you a paisa, or whatever it is you are, because, one day in your life, you might get a DUI.
Yep.
And then you're going to shit your pants, not knowing what to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, unfortunately, in high school, it's not the real world. Obviously, they don't even teach credit. They don't teach you how to think outside the box.
No, yeah, there's a reason they keep you dumbed down.
And so you have to take advantage of opportunities that are presented. My opportunity for me, like the gentleman that they give you the opportunity to dress up the mannequins, big booty mannequins now. Have you seen those? I'm sure you have. All you got to do is just go to
Target.
Well, I don't know if they have them at Target, but I'm 100% sure they have them at the swap meet. 100% sure they have them.
Oh, Fashion District has them.
Fashion District.
All over the place, bro.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What happened to these mannequins?
Like,
Where did they?
First of all,
They all got BBLs?
women don't look like that.
They all got BBLs?
Unless they get surgery.
Yeah.
Which a lot of women are.
And, that's their prerogative. That's
Right,
cool.
right.
I wish I had a BBL. But
I do, bro. It's nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that guy that does the what is it, green screen videos, and he has a big old butt. I gotta show it to you. It's
Yeah.
super funny. But the person that gave me the opportunity, I was 17. I was driving home, another day ditching. My girlfriend was in the car. My brother was in the back, and I saw a sign that said "Now hiring loan officers" on 19th and Amethyst.
Nice.
And I just remember seeing the sign. I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, I don't know what a loan officer is.
Right.
I'm 17 years old, and so I went to, I think it was Archibald, and then I said, let me turn around. And I turned around. I had 3 jobs at the time, and I walked in. They said, "Yeah, we're hiring. Do you want to talk to the manager right now?" I said, "Yes." Met with the guy. 2 weeks later, I had quit my other 3 jobs, being responsible and giving people 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Came back, and I started in something that I love.
Yeah.
It's people in my job, it's obviously finance, but it's this creativity of putting puzzles together.
Yep.
Everybody's finances are very different.
Yeah, but you could only do that being a broker, though,
Yeah,
because otherwise you're just working with, you know, whatever the person above you says. Now you get to shop. Now you get to put things together, like you said, and be creative and find different ins and outs for it to work. And then when it does work, that's that complete painting
Mhm.
that you look back on like that
damn,
was
that was
tight.
dope.
Yeah.
So, to the restaurant piece where you said that you wanted to learn everything, right?
Right.
I wanted to learn how to comp out a property. I'm like, how do people get value? Like, what do you mean equity?
Right.
What do you mean
Yeah.
appraisal? Again, this is a 17-year-old,
Well, it's all
right?
foreign. Yeah.
So they start teaching me of how far out they go in
Mhm.
radius, bedroom, bathroom count, the amount they make per adjustments. Then I wanted to go obviously into debt to income ratio. How do you calculate income? What's the formula? What does an underwriter
Yeah.
use? Every little detail that was required for a loan, from appraisal to title, to reading a title report, to reading escrow instructions, reading a purchase contract. There's so many facets, let's say in my field or even in the restaurant, but I wanted to know everything
Yep.
because I needed to become a student of the business.
Yes.
And a lot of us failed just getting surface level information. Just what gets me the paycheck. Just what gets me the paycheck.
That's the downfall, because now you're not instant gratification is the downfall of humanity, I think. It's instant gratification. It's not longevity. You're in it for longevity. That's why you're successful. Even in a tight market, you're still successful because you're in it for longevity.
It's a
you are-
career.
Yeah, but this is the issue with LOs and real estate agents, and they are in it for the quick buck. And they don't understand that the guys that are successful right now have put blood, sweat, and tears in for years to get to where they're at, to where now that times are rough, they're not worried. They could kick their feet back, put their hands behind their head, and they know that they've done the right things in the past, that they're going to continue to be busy. They're going to continue to have work.
We're worried. We're just not that worried.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I spoke with the client last night, left here, I think it was 9 p.m. Her text was, "Hey, George, remember me? You helped me buy a house 3 years ago." And so I'm like, I recognize the name, but then where do I go? Go to my database. Oh, this person, oh, husband. Okay, 100% I know exactly who it
Yeah.
is. And so part of the conversation with her was, she's having a difficult time. I'm going to try to see how we can help her. But from when I started this is a career.
Mhm.
Like, this is a career means, you start off and you become a doctor. You don't stop becoming a doctor when you're 30
Hmm.
or when you're 40. Most doctors work there, until they retire, until they maybe sell their book of business or they do something a little different. But even attorneys, they become partners,
Mhm.
at a certain point in time, but they're working. And so for me, on the lending side or on the real estate side, it's like, hey, it's a career. One day I'll retire, right? One day I'll retire, I'll be done. But I'm not thinking about it. Let me make a quick buck today.
Right.
It's
It's the wrong mindset.
total wrong mindset.
Yeah.
It's the girl that you marry versus the girl that you date.
Hmm.
A lot of people are dating their career,
Yeah.
and you can't date your career.
No.
And so with what you did, that's why I said it's so relatable, because what you did in the restaurant is what I did when I was 17
Right.
with that dude learning stuff.
Yep.
And then what you were doing with like the graphic design stuff at the same time you're learning, but someone gave you that same opportunity.
Right.
But you have to put in the work
Hmm.
to make it go somewhere,
Yeah.
dude. And not
Mhm.
everybody does, man.
Yeah. The opportunity can get handed to you all day long. We have opportunities all day long, but do we capitalize on all of our opportunities?
Yeah.
That's the difference. You got to capitalize on your opportunities. We're always presented opportunities.
Yeah.
But, even coming here and doing this,
Mhm.
this is an opportunity, you know?
Yeah, I better go viral because you're on here, man.
It's more exposure, and I don't know what we're going to, I remember I asked him, like, what are we going to talk about? And you're just like, whatever. So,
Bitches.
but also, something that I want to bring up too is that learning the restaurant industry from the ground up,
Mhm.
and opening up a restaurant with a buddy of mine, and dealing with the city and dealing with the all the different legality issues and all that stuff, right? Learned so much from that. At the same time, I was trying to build this media business, so I had my end game that I was holding on to and building while I was where maybe my foundation was the restaurant, right? So as I'm learning the media and all this other stuff, it's a lot more intricate. Restaurants are very structured, and in media there's tons of media. I mean, you have graphic design, you have print, you have video, camera, photography, editing. Like there's so many different parts to that engine that you're like, whoa, it's like going from like an electric car to like a muscle car, like the electric car being the restaurant and the muscle car being all these different parts included. But you look at the difference in pay and you're like, oh, okay, well, this electric car is only paying me, it's only worth this much. This muscle car is, I can make it how I want to. Like it's an open game,
See, but the thing about it, just because of the way that I imagine your mind works, I think that you've been able to grab all your previous experiences and transfer them to Believer Media.
Yeah.
And so
100%.
the restaurant is very structured, right?
Right.
Very structured.
And I was a manager, so I learned
managerial positions.
Somebody fact check that, please.
Managerial, daddy in charge. So from a restaurant, very structured. Like the way that I look at it is opening and closing procedures, right?
Yeah.
Food handling.
Yeah.
How do we handle the food? Temperature,
Customer service,
the greeter at the front, finances,
Yep.
ordering, inventory,
yep, P&Ls, all that.
So when you become an entrepreneur, it's like, oh, all that shit helped
wasn't
me
for no reason.
understand
Yeah.
how to not use an exact model, but a blueprint.
Yeah, it's structure.
It's structure.
And I give it 100%. That is credit to everything that I went through in the restaurant. So when I was younger, people asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Take a wild guess what it was.
Firefighter.
How did you know that? Did I already tell you?
No, you have the beard for it.
Stop
fool.
it right now.
I'm serious.
I always wanted to be a firefighter.
Really?
Dude. I swear to you. I wanted to be
like
a
in
firefighter.
Vegas for like
I didn't care where. I just wanted to be a firefighter because I wanted to save people's lives, bro. I wanted to be the hero. Like
not Batman.
Wolverine was my guy.
Oh yeah.
Look at the beard, bro.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to be a fireman. Okay. So I got older. Things obviously went in complete opposite direction of me doing that. And even when I was like 20, 21, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pursue this. And I looked into it and I'm like, I'm not going to pursue this. It's expensive. It's time consuming. Like it's not easy to become a fireman. Right. Mm-hmm. So the boat sailed. Right. So I'm like, whatever. I'm not going to be a fireman. Okay. Got in the restaurant, or actually I got into construction first. Construction was my first love. My neighbor when I was growing up. So I grew up, never met my dad, no brothers, no sisters, just me and my mom. Yeah. My mom was LA County Sheriff.
What city did you grow up in?
I was born in San Gabriel until I was about 8 or 9, and then I moved to Alta Loma. My grandfather was very successful in real estate, owned a bunch of property. He grew up dirt poor in LA, and
what part of LA?
East LA.
East Los Full.
East Los Fu, yeah, East LA, and he was Mexican, so he was always getting arrested just for being Mexican. He was around the Zoot Suiter times.
Yeah.
Went to the army, saved a bunch of money, was in the paratroopers. He was a boxer in the army. So went 72-0. Got out, and when he got out, he was sending all his money that he was making from the army. He would gamble and he would do parachuting for people that didn't want to jump, and so he would saved up all his money, came home, bought 2 houses right off the bat, lived in one, rented the other one out to pay the mortgage in the other one. Smart, right? So he did that, and he saw so much success in real estate that's what he did. He started buying properties, and he would just buy them. Eventually he owned like a whole apartment complex, and he owned a bunch of properties at one time. But he bought my mom a house out here in Rancho. The house was, bro, the most beautiful house on Thoroughbred where all the Christmas lights are. My mom wanted that house, and at the time my grandmother just passed away, so the whole family was in a funk, and bought her the house, $250,000 cash. It got up to like 1.3 because it had a tennis court. Bro, I'm telling you, this house was for me and my mom to live in by ourselves. Super blessed, right? So anyway, my mom actually lost the house in 2008 when the economy crashed because she was pulling out loans on it and couldn't pay it back. And it's a very sad story. But where was I going with this? You asked me where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
This is a wide variety of things we're talking about. Oh, construction. Okay, so construction. My neighbor, my mom got injured on duty at being an LA County sheriff. She got a big Samoan chick asked for an extra lunch. My mom was serving lunches. She was like, "No, I'm not going to give it to you because then the last person won't get one." Anyway, this Samoan chick did not like her telling her no. My mom's like 5'1", 100 pounds wet, pulls her over, smashes her face, breaks 3 discs in her neck and her nose, and they retired my mom. They said, "You're retired on disability. You'll get paid for the rest of your life." And this was at a time where pay wasn't that much.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm 13 years old. My mom is depressed, on pills, and just not really present. No brothers, no sisters, no dad. Okay. So I'm in this place where I'm like, okay, I'm 13. I need to make some money. So my neighbor kind of sees my situation. He's a Persian guy. So he's like, "Hey, I own a rain gutter business. You want to come with me on the weekend when you're not going to school? I'll pay you $100 a day." And that's great money, you know? And I'm like, yeah. So I put a tool belt on. I start collecting and buying tools. And I just found a love for construction because I'm using my hands. I'm creating things. I'm building. And I look back at the rain gutter and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. So I start doing that. And then another buddy of mine, his mom owned Red Hill Barbecue. I don't know if you remember Red Hill Barbecue over there off Grove and Foothill. Shout out. They're not around no more. But I started working there with him and his mom at nighttime after school. So I was making money, dude. I was doing the right thing. I was working. I'm 15 years old, you know. I was actually younger than that. I was 13 when I started construction, and I think 14 when I started restaurant. But if you can see, you know, I'm already using the and I didn't realize it at the time, but I'm using what God made me to do, which is serve and create. You know, I'm a craftsman and I'm a servant. So I'm serving in the restaurant. I'm creating and on the weekend with construction. Okay. So then my life takes a turn and I get into the drug game. I start selling weed. Did that 15 years in and out of the restaurant industry. But in 2008 is when I had my son, and that changed things for me. I was like, okay, I need to step away from drug dealing and whatnot. So I need to get a real job. Construction took a crash because of the economy. And so I'm like, restaurant. Somebody told me, go to restaurants. Even if we're in a recession, people are still going to go out and eat. I'm like, all right, cool. So I went, got a job at Red Lobster and started from the bottom. And then I worked my way up. And then started my companies, failed 3 times. And the last time my company was called NetTree Media. And that I had accounts like Ford, Carpet One. I was doing extremely well for myself. This is 2014, 15, and I'm making like $7,000 a month. That's great money at the time. You know, now, I mean, that's you need that to survive.
Yeah.
But back then I was thriving, dude. But I was drinking every day and I was still smoking weed every day. And then, I had this spiritual calling on me. Like the spirit was like hitting me up, like, stop drinking. And I had this supernatural dream about drinking and going to the doctor. And like God came to me in a dream, was like, you're going to die if you don't stop drinking. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor basically told me, you're going to die if you don't stop drinking. And I'm like, whoa, like that was mind blowing how that happened. And quitting drinking for me was like flipping a switch.
Was it easy for you to quit?
Yes, it was flipping a switch, bro. Like boom, lights off.
Yeah.
And I never craved it. I still don't crave it. It's been 7 years. Smoking weed was a struggle. A struggle, bro. I had insomnia. I had stomach pain issues, IBS. Like I suffered for about a year until I got normal.
Yeah.
I just was not normal. I didn't even know how to be around my family. It was so awkward not being high all the time because I made being high a normal thing. That was how I functioned. So when that happened, I had an apartment with my girlfriend. There's my girlfriend, but she's my wife now. We had an apartment together. We had 2 kids together. I was going through this spiritual change. I'm going to church. I'm like really finding God and letting God in my life. And I end up losing my accounts. I lost all my accounts.
When you stopped?
No. So I
Like-
stopped drinking, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I was still smoking at the time. But what happened was I was praying, and I'm like, hey, look, what do you, take me where you want to take me. Like
Yeah.
you can have me. I'm yours. Right. I just kept feeling this heavy presence of God on me. And I'm like, whatever it is I want to be closer to you. I give up my life. I give up whatever I got. I want to be closer to you. Well, be careful what you pray for, because God allowed me to he took everything. Right. And
Yeah.
so we got evicted because I lost my accounts. I just gave up. Sorry. And so what happened was I was trying to outsource a lot of work, okay? Because I knew that I couldn't do everything myself, and that was my issue. I wanted to do everything myself because I just didn't trust anybody else's work. I had my own style, and I understood things. So I tried to outsource things to people, and they would give it back to me, and it would be too late. I have to rework it, and then it would miss the deadline. And so I started annoying my clients, and
Right.
Eventually I got embarrassed, and I basically just shut it off. So I shut all my clients off, lost all my clients, couldn't pay our rent. We got an eviction notice on our door. We had to move out between this time. Couldn't pay the car note. So they were coming to look and repossess our car. Just had a newborn, had a 1-year-old and a newborn. And, my wife ended up moving back in with her mom, and her mom wanted nothing to do with me because I looked like a failure. And to me, like, I felt like I didn't feel like a failure. I knew that God was allowing all this to happen because he was humbling me. And so I lived out of the car for a week. The car that was going to get repossessed, lost a bunch of my stuff. I had a storage with all my memorabilia, all my old school stuff, like lost the storage. So God took all my old possessions from me that I was holding on to. A lot of things at the house we couldn't take. We had nowhere to put it. So we left a bunch of stuff behind.
Yeah.
And so I just found myself super vulnerable, and I knew what God was doing, and I knew what I had to do. And so what I needed to do was humble myself, get back in the restaurant industry where I'm familiar. Okay. And so I called all the people that I used to deal with. And mind you, I was already a general manager. I was already every position you could think of in the restaurant. I had already done it. So I called one of my friends, and I'm like, hey, this is going to sound weird, but I need a job. And she's just like, what happened? Like, she knew that I was doing well for myself. And I'm just like, long story, but I need a job. She's like, you're overqualified for what I have. And I'm like, honestly, it doesn't matter. I just need a job. Do you have any positions open? She said, yes, you can come wash dishes. And I'm like, when? I'll be there. Bro, I went to Z Pizza, and I started washing. These are the best dishes I ever washed, bro. I was so excited. And at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to church. I'm growing my relationship with the Lord. I'm growing my relationship back with my wife. And, I'm moving up automatically. I'm starting to move up because more positions opened up, where I started delivering pizzas. Like, here I am going from making $8,000 a month to washing dishes and slinging pizzas, and I'm happy about it, And so an opportunity came up they needed a general manager at the doghouse in Victoria Gardens, and it was a brand new thing. And the young owner, didn't really know much about restaurant industry. The beer rep came in and told me like, "Hey, dude, go check this out. He's gonna hire you on
Which
the
one?
spot." The doghouse at Victoria
Oh yeah,
Gardens.
yeah, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So I go over there, 15-minute conversation with the owner, hires me on the spot. I get that. I'm making $45,000 a year. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like this is okay, you know? And now we're like 2017 and have another child in 2018. And you know, we parted ways. Me and the owner parted ways, but I had built his restaurant, the systems and everything in it, and he was number one in the nation. It's not hard to be number one in the nation when you're in Rancho Cucamonga, but I set his systems up. Dude, it was like Cheers at that place. They used to call me the mayor of VG. So I really built up the restaurant there, and I was thriving doing what I love, back in front of people, you know, serving and just managing. Okay. So then I get an opportunity to go over to Punch Bowl Social, taking that, thinking, you know, it was going to be what I thought it was. It wasn't. For somebody who just stopped drinking, is trying to stop smoking weed, and I'm sitting here with a bunch of my buddies that you know, I'm at work, they're drinking, and it's just wasn't what I thought it was. So quickly, Lucille's made me an offer of $65 a year. And so I jumped over there. I'm like, you know what? I need to do this. This is good money now. You know,
And
like,
plus the strawberry lemonade.
I was in it for the bread and the apple butter.
So bomb.
Yeah, no, the food is amazing. But you know, long story is that once I went over to Lucille's, I stopped smoking weed. I got out of that. The Lord opened up an opportunity for us to move back in together. Supernatural, bro. Like, there's no way we should have gotten this apartment. 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, 3 kids, you know, 4 on the way. Ended up getting married to my wife, and I'm in the restaurant. I'm managing at Lucille's. Go through a lot there. Moved locations, come back, and there. I wanted to work at. I was going to Water of Life Church at the time in Fontana, and
In Heritage?
yeah, right above it or below it. It's over off East Street in Baseline.
Yeah.
So I'm going there at the time. I'm serving there. Like, we got married there. I got baptized there. That church really, really changed my life. So anyway, I wanted to work at the church doing graphic design at Water of Life. And that was my goal. I wanted to do graphic design at Water of Life. They were hiring. There should have been no reason why I shouldn't have got this job. I applied 4 different times. And applying at a church, bro, is like, they're doing live scan, bro. Like, it's an hour process it's a long process, because they want to make sure that they're, you know, not just hiring any average person.
That's true.
So anyway, I end up, it just falls through every single time. And I couldn't figure out, like, I know everybody there, I've served there, and it just kept falling through. And I'm like, I don't understand. I just want graphic design. I want to work at a place where, you know, there's a bunch of believers and stuff. And it just didn't work out. So I'm at Lucille's, right? And I see one of the servers, she's having like this weird body language. And it's a Friday night, bro. I don't know if you've ever been to Lucille's in Rancho, but it's 3-hour wait. Like, we literally tell people, go watch a movie and come back and your table will be ready.
Yeah.
So it's Friday. We're busy. We're on a 3-hour wait. I just got done getting cussed out by a pissed off customer. And I see one of the servers, and she's a believer because we've had conversations before together. And so I walk up to her and I'm like, hey, what's going on with you? And she's just like, I'm done. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, well, hold on. And she had just got done telling me that her son's dad just left her. And so I'm like, look, I'm not talking to you as a manager anymore. I'm talking to you as a brother. And I'm like, you have a son you need to support right now. I'm like, so whatever you're going through, you need to push through. Can I pray for you? And she's like, please pray for me because I'm about to quit. And I'm like, all right, cool. Middle of the restaurant, 3-hour wait, people everywhere. I bow my head and I lay hands on her and I just have this awesome prayer. And in that moment, it's just, I have these outer body experiences sometimes where I'm like looking at the situation, but there's nobody else there, right? So the restaurant's empty, and I'm like saying this prayer to her, and the Spirit just took over, and then I feel hands on me like this, and then a hand on her, and I opened my eyes, and two other servers had came around and prayed with us, and I was like, that's awesome. And then she went to work and she killed it, right? She did a great job that night. And I had already forgot about it because it's such a busy night.
Yeah.
I'm in the office, I'm doing money. She comes in, gives me her money, and she's like, hey, I just want to say thank you. And I'm like, for what? And she's like, you saved my job. She's like, I was ready to walk out, but you saved my job. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't me. Like, that was the Spirit. That was God. Give glory to God. She's like, no, but you were the one that initiated. You did it. And I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. And she walks out, and I just have this moment where I hear God very clearly speak to me and say, this is why I don't have you working at a church. And I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy to me. And he basically told me, like, I need you out being a light in dark places. I don't need you at a church where there's already a bunch of believers. And I'm like, oh, he specifically made me to be an evangelist, to go out and to speak to people and to pray over people randomly, and just, tell people about my testimony, because through other people's testimonies, we find hope. And that's actually how I related to church. I grew up Catholic, and it was more of, I just remember somebody reading from the Bible to me over there. Well, when I hit up Water of Life the first time, and that's a whole nother supernatural story we'll get into another time, but what really got me was the pastor there was telling a part of his testimony that I related with.
Water of Life?
Water of Life. He was telling a part of his testimony that I related with. I related with his testimony, and then he went ahead and related that to the Bible. And now I'm like, okay, he just put me in direct relationship with the Bible. I'm like, okay, so what is this book, right? And that's when I got interested. But it's through our testimonies where we find hope and we give hope to other people. So anyway, I end up, I feel prompted, like, start again, start another company doing media, which you love. And so I prayed about the name. I had a business partner of mine that was step by step with me. He supported me, got me my first account, which was the meat seller in Claremont. And the Lord very clearly spoke to me again and said, it's time to quit Lucille's. And boy, did I dread going home and telling my wife that. Because I was making okay money, but I was capped there.
You had security.
I had security, but I was gone all the time. And my wife saw me like I wasn't happy,
Right.
I was satisfied because I was supporting my family and I was doing something that I enjoy, but my passion is in creation, And so I just told her, I said, look, the Lord has been very clear with me that it's time to quit Lucille's. And she was like, I've been waiting for this. She's like, if you got confirmation from God, I'm going to support you. And I'm like, that was tough. It was a lot easier than I thought, dude. And so I put my 2 weeks in, and they paid me out, dude. And I left, and I was on my own. And
that's such a tough thing to do, man.
Huge jump, bro. Huge jump, because I was comfortable there.
Yeah.
And I was really good at what I did. And it just was too much for me, and it was the time, And so I took the leap of faith, and my first year with Believer Media, I made $92,000.
That's what's up.
And COVID happened right after. All the managers got laid off at Lucille's. So it's just following the Spirit for me has changed my life. 7 years completely sober, failed 3 businesses. I've hit rock bottom multiple times.
Ditto, man. I think you and I have had that conversation about, the alcohol and some of the language and things that you and I have talked about off camera, obviously, are not congruent,
right,
with, let's say, the field that, let's say, I'm in, per se,
right,
or how certain professional people like to express themselves, right? I've had just this week 2 people tell me, like, man, you're pretty articulate, and I'm like, the fuck do you think would come out of my mouth?
Yeah,
right, where they judge me based on what they see.
Always.
based on what they see or what I'm wearing.
Always,
Pendleton.
always getting judged.
There's all
Not
so.
many people have a hand tattoo, but
Oh, I'm gonna get mine soon. So
they throw judgment all over the place.
and that's the part where
I like to prove people wrong, though.
I love to prove people wrong. I love to prove people wrong. But there are certain things that, as far as hitting rock bottom, becoming humble, I don't know if it's always age. At least for me, it's age. But it's also the hitting the rock bottom part. Like, it was very easy for me to stop drinking
Yeah,
once I made the choice to stop drinking.
right.
Right? Like, I'm done. Cool.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was never like, I'm gonna try.
I'm gonna wing myself off.
No.
That
no.
never works.
Now, I'm not a believer the way that most people would identify it. A believer. I'm not Christian baptized. I got baptized as a Catholic as a baby.
Same.
I don't know any of the Bible stuff. Like, very, very limited Bible stuff in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, I was at a very, very low point in my life. One of the lowest points in my life. And I had moved out. I had moved to, like, by the beach. It sounds weird, but it was like I needed to get away from where I was at here in the IE.
Right.
And part of what my mom said was, hey, man, maybe a change of place will allow you to become someone different, will allow you to return to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't start drinking until I was 21. And then I went, like, full steam ahead and drinking, like full steam ahead and drinking. Like, let's go. Let me make up for all those years that my friends, when they were drinking, like, at 13, 14,
It's
15.
very common, yeah.
And so I moved out to the valley first, and I was in the valley, and I was going between the valley and the South Bay. Valley and South Bay. And what ended up happening with my drinking, instead of getting less, it got worse. Like, I had the shakes. Like, that's the level of drinking I
Right.
had. It's like you have the shakes.
Yeah, straight alcoholic.
Straight alcoholic, dude. Pick up a fifth of vodka, like, at whenever the liquor store opened up and they started selling vodka.
Yep.
And then drinking throughout the day, drinking end of day. And so, and this is at a time where it was a summer. I was helping my aunt. My aunt had a mobile detailing business.
Mm.
And I want to say my dad was working with her. Like, my dad went to go help her. And then it's like I was trying to maybe improve myself at the time. And I needed the distance. I needed to get away, especially, like, let's say in our industry, it's very common to go out for drinks, to do all that stuff.
It's a social
thing. And
Right.
so
restaurant
there had
industry is
this-
very social.
yeah, I had this thought of, like, okay, let me try it to see if it can maybe help, like, just get away. But it just went way downhill. Ended up getting a second DUI. It was bad, all bad, and ended up getting a lower back pink dermals piercings.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
That's cute.
yeah, exactly. Ended up piercing my belly button. All things that I did when I was drunk.
Yeah.
So very, very low point in my life. So what I wanted to share with you was I was in pain. I was in pain physically. I was in pain emotionally.
Yeah.
Mentally, I was not making the money that I needed to make. So it was supposed to be like, okay, I'm going over there for the summer,
Mm.
right? And I remember sitting on the porch of my ex-girlfriend's house, her parents' house, sitting on the porch, nice breezy summer day, California, like a normal summer day in California. None of these crazy ass days that we've been
June
having.
gloom, bro.
I hate it.
Yeah, it sucks.
You could feel the breeze from the beach.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine had called me about a couple days before, and he was a branch manager at Bank of America. And he called me out of the blue because we used to work together. Because back in the day, if you needed a verification of deposit to figure out how much someone had in the bank
Yeah.
account, you would send it to the bank. They would fill out the information, letting you know exactly what's in the account. They'd send it back. Well, now these verifications are all automated, right? And so that's how I was introduced to him many, many years ago. I believe he worked at Wells Fargo at the time. Then he went to Bank of America. So I got a call from him, and he said, "Hey, I wanted to check in with you, see if you're interested in a position. I have a position. I need you. Obviously, I've known you for years, and I want to know." I remember, dude, I was in Hollywood at the time. I was in Hollywood when I got that phone call at night, and I'm like, "What the fuck? Yeah, yeah, I'll do it." So this is a week later when I'm sitting in the porch, and I had an interview set up, and I was preparing for that interview. He had got me an interview with the Western Regional Manager, him and another vice president. These are like big wigs of Bank of America. I'm nervous. I'm like, I've been self-employed for a very long time. I did this thing with my aunt. Then again, like my alcoholism is going.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm practicing for my interview. I went to the liquor store, picked up 3 tall cans because that's what I do.
Was
I
it Bud
drink.
Ice?
I have no idea. I want to say it was Bud Light.
Ew.
Yeah. And I remember popping one of them, drinking half of one.
You're an alcoholic when you pick up 211 tall cans, bro.
Oh, 211's gross, bro. But I remember I was not trying to drink. I was trying to focus, and I remember praying. And I don't fucking pray.
Yeah.
I don't even know Our Father who art. I don't even know that prayer. But anyways, I know it in Spanish. But I just remember praying like, man, if I get this job, man, if I get this job and I can turn my life around, like I gotta do something. This is not right. And then just talking to myself, right? Maybe it was prayer, maybe it was just me talking to myself, but I remember taking a moment of like praying and saying like, I gotta stop this shit. Like, all right, I'm not gonna drink anymore. And it was just like, I just felt it like, all right, cool. Like it's done. And then I continued on practicing. Long story short, I got the job. I worked there for a few years. I was recognized as a top banker on the West Coast, like multiple times over and over.
Nice.
Got highlighted for various pilot programs, got headhunted by different branches, did training all over the West Coast for Bank of America because, mind you, I started when I was 17 in the mortgage industry, and I got oversaturated with like information on how to prep sales, and I became a student of the business.
Yeah.
Then I got sidetracked with all the alcohol and the drugs and the women and all the things that came when I reached a certain level. And then it's like, okay, well, let me try to find my way back. But instead of finding my way back, I went way down into a precipice.
Yeah.
Fucking lost everything. Lost my cars, lost houses, lost money, ended up in jail. And so as I was at that low point, then that opportunity presented itself. Then it's that prayer, the friend, and then it's like a lot of friends have told me, a lot of my brother's friends, I said like, dude, we saw you so young hit like the peak. They remember seeing me in my car that I had when I was like 17 or 19, like an M3, and they remember seeing what I did, what I had, how successful I was, and then they saw the downfall. Everybody saw it. Everybody saw it. My production partner Mike told me, he's like, man, if your story wouldn't have changed, he said, I think it'd be really difficult. It'd be really, really tough to see that. But I've been sober for, someone asked me earlier today, I think maybe 12 years, 11 or 12 years, something like that. And I don't have a problem of like, oh, I want to drink. Like I just don't. But when I hear glass, I'm like ice hit a glass, like a little small whiskey neat glass.
You think about it.
Oh yeah.
You know what makes me think about it? Cracking a can.
Cracking a can.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I'm
so-
like, wait, cracking a can.
Yeah,
I'm like,
so
wait.
when I because I drink kombucha,
Uh-huh.
right, or the energy drinks.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
time I crack one, there's something about it.
But it's not a craving.
Right.
It's just
no,
more.
it's not.
It's just like it's
It like sets my mind
Trigger.
like, all right, I'm satisfied.
it's a trigger.
It's a trigger, yeah.
Or there, and so again, going back to your point, where I would never take any of that back. I would never take, and I know it sounds weird because people say, "Oh, if you can go back in time, oh, I would change this and I would
No,
change that."
Nothing.
It's like, dude, the times that I ended up in jail,
Mhm.
the fights that I got in, the relationships that I lost, the girls that I hurt,
Yep.
like anything that I did that was bad has gotten me to have a perspective of life that I have now.
Yep.
I would not be doing the things that I do now
Yep.
if I didn't go through all that shit.
Amen. That's it, dude. That's exactly. I tell people that all the time. Like, would you take anything back? Not one thing, because then I wouldn't be who I am today.
I wouldn't.
With
I
all
wouldn't.
the learning
It-
experiences, and even when I didn't learn, we just went through it. Just flat out didn't learn anything.
Fucking knucklehead.
But it's still there though. Your mind still experienced it,
Mhm.
so it comes into play without you realizing. It's just subconscious, you know.
I've been in some very, 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 and I know you have too, some very shady situations.
Oh yeah.
Situations where I'm like, again, damn, I'm lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I'm not in jail for a very long time. And at the moment, maybe you're not thinking about it. Maybe you're not, let's say, the person doing an act, but you're still there. Like, why the fuck was I even there?
Bro, this is why there's so much confirmation of God in my life, because I should have died hundreds of times. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been in drive-bys. Like,
Yeah.
looking at knowing me who I am now, if I told you the stories, you'd be like, you're lying.
No, I believe you.
But
You have a
100%.
hand tattoo.
I didn't even have that back then, bro. This is like before. But still, it shapes us, bro.
Yeah.
It shapes us. And for me, what saved me was feeling the spirit,
Mhm.
right? Because that's what came upon you when you prayed in that moment. It was a spirit. You weren't talking to yourself. It's
Well-
conversation, right? And there's, to be upfront with you,
Yeah.
there's no wrong way to pray.
And see, this is the thing, right? So again, I'm not that person, right?
Right.
But and I was sharing on a TikTok live the other day. Something they were talking about trust and betrayal, and people were asking me questions about that. And I said, look, the thing is, when you forgive, there's a choice, right? If you forgive, sometimes, or at least I choose, forgive and forget. Otherwise, you're not forgiving anybody.
Right. You're still holding
You're
it
still
in,
holding
yeah.
on to it. And so I shared a story where someone had broken my fucking heart,
Yeah.
had cheated on me. I was a little boy and I was sitting in my driveway. And I was a little boy sitting in my driveway in my M3. I was about maybe around that time, 19 years old, man. And I had just come home from partying, from doing a whole bunch of hood rat shit. But I was sitting in my driveway and my grandpa was going to work. My grandpa used to live with us. Both my grandparents lived with us growing up. We're very close, man. I just remember sitting in the car, dude, just fucking crying, sad, depressed, like just not feeling peachy, right? And my grandpa asked me, and I don't want to share with him, exactly what was going on just yet. And he's like, "Is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, everything's fine." And then he said, he was a believer. He said, "Let me pray for you."
Right.
So as I sat in the car, he put his hand on me, and he said he prayed for peace. Bring peace over my grandson. Just allow him to calm down, bring peace. And I just remember that I closed my eyes, and again, I don't do none of that. So it was awkward for me, but I felt this immediate like,
Relief.
shit, the fuck?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, there's power in prayer. I've seen it time and time again.
that's the part where it's like you can't deny something that you've actually experienced, right? And so,
but to pursue it
Mhm.
is another story.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And I didn't share with you. I'll tell you the story real quick. But So then I shared with him, what had happened, and he talked about forgiveness, the knife in your back, pulling it out, moving forward.
Yeah.
Um, but what I was going to tell you, I've gone to churches, horrible experiences,
Right. Same.
horrible.
Bro,
Like,
I was scarred from church for years.
like someone literally like, have you accepted Jesus Christ, your savior? Well, I don't know, whatever the hell that thing is. Like, nah, that's what I'm here to learn. He's like, well, you're going to hell.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wait, what? And bro, this is like in a lobby area where people are walking by, and this guy's like chewing me out, legit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what the fuck? I'm
Yeah.
out of here, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're tripping, dog. You think you come talk to me outside like that?
Exactly.
It
Ain't gonna happen.
So but it interests me. All that stuff interests me. I have the Bible on Audible.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll listen to it, but I prefer to read it.
Right.
I prefer to read it. I want to understand it. It's the most published book. Like if I'm looking at it from a logical standpoint versus a heart standpoint,
Right.
like I want to understand things.
Of course.
I've gone to synagogues, like the Jewish would be like the Old Testament. Like, okay, let me learn whatever it is that they have to say, because all that stuff interests me. Because as humans, you said you have that like out of body experience. I have these weird thoughts, man. Sometimes I know that sometimes I think about things a little bit weird, but then I'm able to articulate them. And then when I articulate them to other people, as far as like a certain perspective that I have, say like, man, I didn't think about it that way.
Right.
And so it helps me when I speak to people like yourself that have had maybe similar situations. When I was sober and I made that decision, I did have moments of want for the first couple months. That's why I left my relationship. I literally reached in a closet, grabbed what I can grab, and I booked it from that relationship. I was gone. And prior to that, I did go to a lot of AA meetings. And some of these AA meetings, I was like, oh, what the fuck? What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I would go to my AA meetings drunk.
Oh, bro. I heard stories that so I heard stories from famous people, because I obviously in the area that I lived in.
Yeah.
Very, very famous people, musicians, actors, and then from like a regular person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, and they're struggling and they're trying, and then other people are not struggling, but I can relate to those stories. I can relate to what they're going. It's not like how they show in movies where it's like a little group, like a little tiny group of like 4 dudes smoking cigarettes, telling some crazy shit. That's not at all what I went through when I went to AA meetings. People were approachable. People were nice. People were
cool
welcoming.
people, yeah.
No weird. I mean, there was some weird stuff.
Of course.
There was some weird stuff. Guys with plungers, and I'm like, I'm never coming to a Hispanic AA meeting again, because if this is what I'm hearing at the Hispanic AA meetings, I'd rather stick to the ones in Santa Monica. But my story, your story, the stories that we talk to people about every single day, it's like we've all been through some kind of shit.
Uh-huh.
I think sometimes just having conversations with people like, man, we're resilient. We can get through this. We can get through whatever the economy.
Oh, we're built to survive.
We're built to survive.
Yeah, we're built to survive.
So
mentally and physically.
So we gotta keep trying, man.
Yeah.
We gotta keep going. We gotta keep pushing. It's again for me, seeing you, seeing what you do, seeing how you speak, seeing your vision. I fuck with that.
Yeah.
I fuck with the way that I've seen the way your mind works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's a smart dude right there.
It comes with experience.
It comes with humility.
Yeah, exactly. Willingness
To learn, willingness to have the right perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, again, let's say on certain marketing pieces, we've talked about them, and it's like, damn, we're on the same wavelength, or you have a certain idea, or I have a certain idea that's like, oh, that's dope. Like, I can understand where you're going with that.
Right.
So, like, with your clients right now, that you're working with them through Believer Media, like that's all you do now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't do anything else.
Nope. Full time.
with them, is it easier to connect with someone who is a believer, or is this just not?
Okay, so for me, God has really created me to be able to bring it up in front of anybody and it not be awkward or weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is or how. Like for you, you're like, that's not my thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you mess with me, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I think it's because I don't come from a religious background. I
Yeah.
think that it's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual connection. And we all have a spirit, whether people believe it or not.
You know what? Interrupt you. I don't think it's, for me personally, I just think you're not, every time I've talked to you, it's not like you're forcing it on me.
No.
You're just telling me your story. It's just like very like it's not, dude, but I mean, you know these people where it's just like they're forcing their beliefs on you.
You cannot do that.
It's
I've
like,
had that done to me, and it pushed.
bro, get away
All
from
it
me.
does is push me away.
Yeah.
This goes right into exactly with what I coach on social media for realtors and for LOs. You cannot force what you're trying to get across to people. You can't force it on them because all you're going to do is push it away. If you're posting about real estate every single day, so it's something I like about you, I rarely see you posting about real estate.
Yeah.
You don't need to because you're more relatable in other ways. You'd rather relate to people and build relationships than build sales. And that's one thing that you figured out that most people need to figure out. That's one of the things that I coach. It's not about sales, it's about relationships. You build relationships, that builds trust, and trust builds conversions. Right? So that's the key. So but going back to how much time do we have? Because I don't want to get on a tangent and then have it get cut off.
I'm gonna take a leak.
Yeah, let's go to the bathroom real quick.
Can we hold hands?
We can.
It's it was fun, man.
It was fun, dude.
Shit.
Sorry, nobody saw that. We're not
Yeah.
recording yet.
It was I was talking to someone so hold on before I get on a tangent because that tangent will be pretty long. Continue, my friend.
Okay, what were we talking about?
Trust
you
videos.
asked me. Yeah,
and,
you asked me about
the relatability in
Yeah.
regards to like your belief.
right. So it comes natural to be able to talk to people, and I think more of the fact that people when they see my business name, they kind of they're already there. But what makes it easy and different for me, and I think this will kind of explain to you kind of how, well, he's not pushy with it. I've had all that happen to me. And for me, it's never been about religion. It's been about relationship. So for me, it's more important. I've always had a relationship with God since a child because my mom put me through catechism. I was baptized as a baby. She instilled Jesus in my core as a child. And then I got older and went through my own thing. I was one of those conspiracy guys throughout this whole journey. And when I went down the rabbit hole, I got mad at God for a long time. And then I found myself in this really dark place and I was doing horrible things. I was hanging out with the wrong people and I just didn't care. Like I almost got F the world tattooed on me. That's how much I did not care at certain points in my life. And going through that, when I had my son is when I kind of had to take a step back and I'm like, okay, having a child, you learn new love that you never knew existed until you have your own child. Like you can adopt and all, take care of nephews, whatever, but until you can co-parent, until you have your own child, you do not know this type of love. And when I had my son, something changed in me. And every kid since that has grew me spiritually. Okay. So when I had my son, I wanted to do better. I wanted to provide more. And my goal in life was to be there for my son no matter what, because my dad was never there for me. So I was always like, I'm going to do whatever I can to be in my son's life no matter what. Right. So something in me changed. And now I felt like, okay, well, it's not just me anymore. I have a reason. And I started seeking the Spirit. The Spirit started calling me like, what, hey, I'm here. And I'm like, oh, okay. You again. Right. The Holy Ghost. No. So for me, I was scarred from religion. And
Yeah.
what I didn't mention about my neighbor, who was
The Persian guy?
Persian, they were Muslim, and they would invite me over, and they would pray, and they would read from the Quran and all these different, and it just really reminded me of the Catholic religion. It was very organized and rituals, and it just wasn't my thing. So
Yeah.
like I turned my head from that too. And so I was in this place where I'm like, I'm not going to church because I don't like church. Like church ain't for me, you know. And I went to this really dark place. And then when I had my son, I started seeking more. And when I started seeking more, I found Buddhism. And I learned all about Siddhartha. I learned about Buddha. And it really got me out of this dark spiritual place and put me in this like free spirit mindset, right? But I'm still smoking weed, I'm still fornicating, I'm still doing whatever I wanted, I'm drinking. And
Did you just say fornicating?
yeah, I was fornicating. I'm sorry. So anyway, I was living in filth, doing what I wanted to do, being my own prideful person, but my spirit was free.
Yeah.
And so I thought, no, I'm a free spirit, and my question when I learned about Buddhism was now, well, who is God? And that was my question that led me to Christ. That right there was like, okay, well, if I want to know who God is, all these different religions all point to the same thing. God the Father, the creator of all, right? And I was a believer. I had atheist tendencies for a long time, but that was just because I was mad at God. So I wanted to challenge God. And he let me walk through dirt, dude. And he let me walk I chose to walk through with the devil. And after walking with the devil so long, he realized that's not where you belong. That's not why you were created. So Buddhism got me out of my dark place and put me on track to meet Jesus. And that was the key turning point that set me up. And then, I met my wife, and I'm on this journey. I'm asking questions, and, my normal Christian friends can't help me with. And also when I moved here from San Gabriel, my mom had an experience with a Christian dude that was crazy. Like this fool was crazy. So I had this thought in my head, like Christians are crazy Bible thumpers.
Yeah.
And if you had to categorize me, I don't like being categorized, but if you had to categorize me, I would be a non-denominational Christian. But it's a Western civilization thing. Like if you go deep into the history of all this stuff, like Jesus in the Bible never talked about being a Catholic or a Muslim or a Christian. He just said, I'm the way, follow me.
Right.
And so if you look deeper into it, religion is what got Jesus crucified, because the Jewish religion were so religious that they thought Jesus was blasphemy, and so they crucified him, right? So it's really not about religion. It's about relationship. And I don't push religion. So to me, I've had people ask me in my coaching classes before, well, should I post about politics or religion? Because, the rule is to not post about politics or religion. And I'm like, look, if that's who you are, do it. Like your vibe attracts your tribe. You're going to get those type of people, if not, you want to be fake, go ahead, be fake. But I'm not I'm not on there to be fake. I'm on there to be who I am, failure isn't all,
Either you like me or you don't.
Exactly. And I don't care if you don't, sucks to be you. Like, I don't know that's your own problem. You need to fix your own self, like you don't have to like me. But where I'm really going with this to bring it in is that politics and religion. Now this is my life experience and where I'm at. Politics and religion were both created by man, and they're man-made to create separation between the people, and segregation between people causes conflict. Conflict creates war, and war creates currency for the elite to stay in control of this world. And so my only hope is in Jesus. That's my hope. To me, there's no hope in this world. So I needed hope from somewhere else, a supernatural hope, and that's Jesus. So that's why things made sense to me. And I never read the Bible before. Even when I was a believer, it took a long time for me to read the Bible because I didn't know where to go or where to read and I start reading it, and I'm like, I'm lost with all these names and numbers and times. Like, I don't care about all
bro.
This. I know
you're giving me dates and years, bro, and how long. I'm like,
I've tried so many times. I tried so many times to read the Bible. There's even times now as a believer, I have to pray for God to put me where he wants me to be in the Bible. And it works. It really does work. He'll put me exactly where he wants me to be.
No, I want to read it from beginning to end.
You know, it's not meant to be read like a novel. I can
No.
tell you that right now.
That's how I've tried.
Okay, and that's
That's
not saying
probably
that-
why it's more difficult.
Here's this analogy that God gave me one time.
Yeah.
I was talking to my buddy. His dad was 72 years old.
Uh-huh.
He's like, Mike, I don't see what you see in the Bible. He's like, I've read it from front to back numerous times. Great stories. And I'm like, okay, well, the Bible's not meant to be read like a novel. Think about it like this. And he's a gearhead. So I'm like, think of it as a life manual. Everybody at birth should be handed a Bible. Here's the manual to this human. Okay. When you have an issue with your car, you're not going to go read the manual from front to back, and you're going to forget what your issue is. You're going to forget what the problem is if you try to do that. The Bible is a manual. If you're going through something, there's an index in the back. You could look it up, and then it'll give you verses to that. It's meant to be spiritually led and read, because the verses, the scripture is alive through God's word, because the Bible says that it is God's word. It's our sword, right? So it's God's word, and God's word is alive, you know? So that's one analogy that I came
That
up
actually
with.
makes a lot of
It
fucking
does.
sense.
And it's
like, it does. I'm fucking smart.
I'm telling you, bro. Like, no experience, dude. I've tried to open from the book. I'm not a reader. I'm a
Uh-huh.
high school dropout. I'm not a reader, bro. I'm hands-on. So you put me hands-on, I'm skilled. You know,
Yeah.
throw me the wolves hands-on, I'm skilled. Throw a bunch of books at me, I'll build a house with them. Like, I don't know what to do with these. I'm not reading
And
them.
this guy had this son, and then this son had
It's
this
so
son.
much, and you're not
this
supposed to
son-
start there, because
Da-da-da.
it's just going to drive you away.
Well, I've tried, and then I have about 2 different audibles. One with James Earl Jones,
Oh, that's the best one. right
and
there.
then
Darth Vader.
some other dude, right? But once they start getting to those numbers of like, and that's barely in Genesis, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it's in Genesis.
It's a lot, bro. It's a lot, and trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've been there. I've done that multiple times.
I'm not going to sleep.
Multiple times, bro. So multiple times. But like I said, it's
I like that analogy though. That makes a lot of sense.
also something that
I didn't think
really
about it.
helped me understand all of this is that I didn't understand about Lucifer. I didn't understand about the devil.
Mm.
The devil was condemned to earth for a limited time on purpose by God, right? He told Michael the archangel, send him to earth for a limited time. Well, why would and God made humans his crown of creation, right? The most intricate creation ever. Out of all things he created, humans are the most intricate creation that he ever made. And why would he put us with the devil?
I don't know.
It's a great question, right? Like, you know,
It's an oxymoron.
my son asked me this one time. He said, Dad, if God's so powerful, why doesn't he just take out the devil? And I said, that's a great question. He was like 11 at the time. And I said, well, son, if the devil didn't exist, we would have no reason to seek God, because everything would be all right. But God allows the enemy to come at us. And if we don't understand our authority here, God gave us authority over everything on earth, even the angels and everything, right? The devil. We have authority over the devil. But unless we understand that, our doors are wide open, and he's just going to come in and wreak havoc. People have depression. They have anxiety, drunkenness, immoral sin, like all kinds of different things that people struggle with, pornography, alcoholism, addiction, all these different things that people look at as a normal lifestyle, when in reality, you just have that door wide open. So identifying these has not only grown me in spirit, but it's grown me on earth here to the people around me. Now I understand what I'm doing, why I'm here, what I'm supposed to do. I know where I'm going. You know, there's no better feeling to know why you exist. I can ask people all day long, what is the point? What is the reason for your existence? And they will not have a good answer for me. I've asked atheists this before. To be a good person and to help people, that's the only reason you exist? Yeah. And they don't, and that's their, I said, well, what happens when you die? Oh, our body just goes, it dies. Okay. Well, that's really sad, because deep down inside, you know that there's something more than just your body. We're tri beings. We're made of the spirit, the soul, and the flesh. Everything else, animals, they're dual beings. They got a soul and they got flesh. They don't have spirit. right? So anyway, there's all these little things that I had. These were the questions that I was asking other Christians or even Catholics. They could not answer. So I'd have people point me, go to the church, ask the pastors, ask whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I started doing that. And that's when I've had people kind of guide me in different directions. And I've opened the book to read it. And so when God put us here on earth, he didn't leave us, just say, here you go. God created us for relationship. Okay. So that's why he put us with the devil, because the devil can tempt us. We have to lean on God now for relationship. Okay. Now God's getting our attention. Okay. And we've given free will so we can make the choice if we want to do that or not. Okay. So God didn't leave us empty handed. He gave us tools to battle with, right? First of all, he's given us authority, but most of us don't know the authority we have. But tools are tools. And this is really sad to say, but church is one of our tools. And most churches are not teaching the right way. They're not preaching the right way. The devil's all up in those churches. And it really sucks for people in positions like where you're at, where you're like, I would love to go to church and learn about all this stuff, but all I feel is judgment. All I feel is condemned. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how it should be. So church is one of them. Worship music is another one, because worship music has done wonders in my life to where I'm wondering, like, why is this so effective? Like, I'll sit there and cry like a baby listening to worship music, but it's God's word through music. Okay. The devil is the angel of sound. So there's nothing more slap or punch in the face to the devil than listening to worship music, because it's taking God's word and putting it in musical form. Right. I heard this quote a long time ago before I was saved, and it stuck with me. And it was, music enters your soul without your mind's permission. And that hit me. And like, I don't know why it stuck with me so long, but now I understand it, because the devil is the angel of sound. And that's why I think music, if you look at like the timeline of music, it went from, big band, jazz, classic, and then kind of getting into the Frank Sinatras and the Rat Pack, and, then it kind of got into, the 60s, where it was like love, it's all about love, and it was really good, oldies but goodies, right? All about love. And then you got 70s, some kind of disco rock came out, and, you got kind of start getting weird, and it's okay for guys to wear makeup and wear high heels and long hair, and the 80s came, and, Kiss. Oh, I love Kiss, but still, like, like they normalized all these things. So what the enemy was doing through music the whole time is setting us up. And then you have 80s, gangster rap came out, and then you have like, a lot of these, like Nirvana and all these guys came out, and they were just like, drugs was the thing. And they really kind of got weird, start getting weirder with music. It was still good to us because we grew up with it. And then 90s hit. And then, it was more like, flashy, talking about, cussing came in the picture, and then you're degrading women. 2000s, you're degrading women. It's all flossing. It's about what you got and all this stuff. Now music is at a point where I don't even understand the words anymore, and it's straight demonic to me. Like, these guys, for all I know, they're like chanting in satanic worship. Like, I don't even know what they're saying anymore, and they've dumbed us down so much. And that's the enemy working through music, right? And he's been doing it for years. He's been setting us up. And this, like, again, this is my personal preference and belief, but and so worship is a huge tool, to fight against the enemy. And it's in Ephesians 6:10, it talks about being a spiritual battle. It's not a battle between flesh and blood. It's a battle between evil principalities in heavenly places, right? So the battle that we go through here, that we think we go through, is not a physical battle. It's a spiritual battle going on for us. And it's literally angels and demons fighting in the spiritual realm for us right here. So when you're praying and you're giving ammo to your angels to fight against the demons. If you're not praying, the demons are overtaking. And they're gonna start moving in your life because you're leaving the door open. You're not praying, you're not doing your things, right? So prayer is the next one. Prayer is a huge tool to fight against. So you have church, you got prayer, you got the Bible, you have worship music, and then you have fellowship. And fellowship is huge. Like getting in a small group. Like I host a small group every other Thursday at my house, and the guys that are going there, like I love seeing it because these guys are getting so much. There's new guys. There's more experienced guys in there, and there's just like they're really the Spirit is really working in that group to help these guys and pray for each other, and there's so much power in prayer, bro. Like it's really, really, when you understand it and you put aside all the religious stuff and the worldly, what Western civilization has turned into religion and Christianity and all these different things, like put all that aside. It's about relationship with your Creator. That's it, bro. There's God the Father, Jesus the Son, and the Spirit that lives in us. And that's, to me, it's a reality because time and time again, I've seen it show up in my life and just radically rock me.
It's it's interesting, man, because I think when I was younger, I used to have a bigger problem with it, with religion.
Yeah.
A way bigger problem with it. And it's what you mentioned earlier, how you grow up and experiences change you. And for me, it's to understand, from my perspective, right, is that different things work for different people. And a lot of what works for some people is, let's say Christianity, right?
Mhm.
Like your belief system. And so I'm like, that's cool that works for him. That's like, but then at the same time, there's that interest behind it as well, right? Where before it was more of judgment, like, man, I ain't fucking with that
Yeah,
shit.
it's not for me,
Like,
Right.
versus like just even listening to you right now, like, oh, I can appreciate that.
Right.
Like, I can appreciate it from a non-judgmental way. And what's funny is that my brother Mike, well, obviously you know my brother Mike. It's funny. Other people tell me like, dude, how many fucking mics are in your life? So my brother Mike,
We're all that you need, bro.
yeah, exactly. He would say, we've talked about the fact that pastors or priests, either one of them, but mostly pastors. Pastors is the ones at Christian churches, right? Okay. They are what have attracted me and have attracted him at times to go to church, because I'm like, man, that's a fucking dope message. And he took what he said and he related it here, and then it relates here. What you mentioned about this person versus, oh man, and you do this whole ritual. Like I just went to a funeral. I think it's a funeral. And I'm like, I don't know what no one is saying. I don't know what to respond, how many times to get up, how many times to sit down. Like, I'm like, dude, what is this? But
right.
This is just me in my head. Obviously, I respect.
Out of respect, you're gonna follow
for them
suit, yeah,
100%. And that's what they believe. That's what that family believes, and I'm gonna respect that.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't. This is what I don't vibe with.
right.
Yeah. And then the other part is when we were younger, same thing, like going with my grandfather, he'd go to an evangelical church where there was music, and I hated it. I hated Christian music. But I've caught myself listening to corridos, right? Like Mexican paisa music, and I'm like, wait, are you talking about God? What am I listening to?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait,
Bro, I didn't know that Christian music was so diverse.
Oh,
I thought
dude.
it was just, I thought worship music was like, hallelujah, like all that crazy dancing and jumping around. That's what I thought worship music was. Little did I know they have hip hop, they got rap, they got rock, they got freaking classic, they got reggae. Like they have all genres of music in Christian, like talking about, not even, you know what, the word Christian is just such a trigger word, bro. Like it's like I started a company called Live. Me and my buddy started a company called a clothesline called Live Fast, Pray Slow, right? And when we give stickers out or if we wear a shirt, people are like, "Oh, that's tight. What religion are you?" Boom, the exact reason why God gave us that name to rock with, because now they just opened up the door to, it's not about religion, it's about relationship.
Right.
You know, if you had to put me in a category, go ahead.
Sure.
But that's what's ruining the world is the separation.
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. So there's this badass corrido song.
Yeah.
And again, the corridos are usually like narcos, right? Like you're talking about like some very, very different kind of music about the streets, drug game.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what the fuck? These guys are talking about God. And then the other time I heard this, there's this reggae song, and he actually just performed in Anaheim. And I caught myself singing it, and I'm like, this song's about God. What the like? I got mad at myself for liking the song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Like, this is a dope song.
Right.
So I think with age, with maturity,
Right.
well, hopefully with age you become more mature. And I think for me, that's what I would say. I become more mature with accepting and understanding that part. And so, how much more time you got, man?
No,
You
no,
good?
what time
You
is
with
it?
time? Oh shit!
Uh-oh.
Stuff. Wow.
Can I go shopping tomorrow morning?
Oh, I didn't look at the message. I looked at the time.
No, it doesn't have the message. We could wrap it up, dude.
Oh, no, I'm
Yeah,
good.
Let's wrap it up. Whenever you want.
So
We could always do another session.
yeah,
Talk about other stuff.
So I guess, I mean, what would you say, like going back to the business side, what are, you're obviously a social media expert. You do great jobs on video edits with content, with helping extract people's ideas,
Mhm.
right? I think that's very important. What are 3 things that you could recommend, not only to, I would say, people that are in the real estate industry, just entrepreneurs in general? What are 3 things that you could recommend to them as far as video? 3 things.
You're talking about like just an average Joe
Entrepreneurs.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah, because you're going to be working with the majority of your clients are entrepreneurs. They're
Right.
not just
No, yeah.
creators.
No,
not
yeah.
just they're business owners.
right.
They're real estate
So,
agents, loan officers.
I think done is better than perfect. That's the first thing.
Done.
Done is better than perfect. So start. Don't wait until you have every single thing that you want. You know what I mean? Like the setup, like just start with your phone, start making videos. And the quality is decent no matter what. So just start and practice. You're not going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. You'll have good videos, but you're going to have a majority of bad videos, and you'll get better as time goes on. So you have to push through the initial fear of making videos or fear of not having everything that you want to make the video. So done is better than perfect is number 1. So just start pretty much. Number 2, know your audience. I'd say that's important to know your audience because now you can know how to structure what you're talking about better. So if you know your audience, you know what kind of value you need to bring to them. So know who you're talking to in your videos. Don't be all over the place. Don't be trying to talk to a broad community. Dial in who exactly you're talking to make that specific video. So know your audience is another one. It's a good question.
So part of what I would say is done is better than perfect and know your audience are important. The part that I would like add on both categories is understand that it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. That's what I mean by, just start and grow into it because you're not gonna, this didn't happen overnight for me or you, and it doesn't happen overnight for the Gary V's, like Gary V's story is crazy because he struggled for years and now he's who he is, but that's with consistency.
The thing is this, people are looking for what we talked about earlier, that
Be consistent.
Be consistent.
That's
I
the
like
next.
that.
That's the third one. Go ahead.
No, so elaborate on that.
Yeah.
So the third step.
So the third is to be consistent. Consistency. There's a saying: persistency pays. Right? It's not all about money, but persistency pays. It pays off, whether it's satisfaction with you or whether it is money. So be consistent. And with consistency, you're helping out in multiple areas. So if you're consistently posting videos or doing videos, you're not only getting better on video and more natural, you're not only learning video and position and lighting and audio, and you're not only teaching the algorithm what it is that you're doing, but you're showing your audience that you're consistent. And consistency builds trust, trust builds conversions. So being consistent is important. Plus, it helps with growth. This is why I suggest to do a content calendar for somebody who's serious about growing on social media. For somebody who's serious about growing on social media, sorry, I ran out of breath, is to have a content calendar. Plan out, be intentional with what you're doing. Have times for sporadic moments, but that's what Instagram stories and YouTube shorts is good for. Sporadic moments, taking people throughout your day. But consistency is it. I'm more consistent on my stories than I am with posting. Like all these things that I teach and coach, I've done them with other people's accounts and they're successful. I don't necessarily do them with my account because number one, I'm not really trying to grow my account. I have word of mouth, which is how I get my business. But if somebody doesn't have that and they're trying to really grow their social media, consistency is what is going to make you. Consistency is what's going to take you to the next level.
So being consistent, know your audience, and done is better than
perfect.
Yeah,
just start. You have to start somewhere. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
So now my question to that at the end would be, what does all that mean though? Right? So like, why would I want to have more followers? So I had a conversation with someone this morning, and Paco came out, talked about AI, and the person that I had this conversation with said, hey, I don't need any more business. I don't need my phone to ring anymore. I don't need anything extra. So I don't want to learn that new tool. Period. End of story. I'm done. That, like, he's completely shut off.
Well,
so I guess my thing to you is, people that are not posting, people that are not normally social media people that, just maybe shy away from the camera or shy away from that, why would it benefit them? Why would they want to grow? What's the purpose behind it?
Well, if they don't want to grow, then, well, first of all, I had pushback. I've had pushback from people in my classes where I coach them. The pushback is, I don't want to be public. I don't really want to grow my social media and this and that, whatever, right? And social media is not for everybody. It's really not. And if you're not the type of person that doesn't want to grow or be on social media, then don't do it. It's not for you. You're content with your life, but the people that I'm talking to, and the reason why I do what I do, is to show people how to be more presentable online, how to be more approachable online, how to be more relatable online, right? That's what I coach. I don't coach get rich quick, tips and tricks, and no, I'm longevity. And that's why I think what I coach and how I coach is a lot different than any other social media coach that I've seen. Because I'm not out here trying to put together funnels so I can collect you as a lead and then remarket to you about taking your money. I much rather see the small amount of people that I work with succeed. And again, it's not about followers. It's not about how many followers you have. It's about the quality of followers that you have. So it's quality over quantity. There's plenty of people out there that have 15, 20K followers on their account, but they're not producing anything. I'm talking real estate agents. They're not producing sales from social media. And then you have people that, I started this MVP escrow account, and the first month we had 72 followers, and we did a video on 3 things that you need to take to a listing presentation. And we pinned that video to the top. I did some networking after we posted it in the local area. A real estate agent hit the contact button, sent an email to MVP, and they said, hey, we saw your video. I want all 3 of those things, and I want to use you guys for the escrow. 72 followers. So it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It matters on what content you're putting out.
You know, that's a funny thing, right? Because social media, a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times is the aesthetics, and you have a huge way of managing it where a lot of us that have been in the game for a very long time just call them social media lenders, social media agents. You're trash, you rent your cars,
Right.
you rent the houses, you know, I know how much money you owe, I know who you're in debt with, but yet
You're fly on social media.
you're super fly on
Yeah.
social media. Or people appear very nice and then they're assholes in
Yep.
person. And I'm just like, bro.
That's what I coach, exact the opposite. I coach to be yourself on social media. And what the biggest mistake that people make in this industry is having a separate profile. So having an Instagram that's personal and an Instagram that's just real estate. Nobody's going to follow you on that real estate one. Like you're putting yourself in a box. You might as well be a used car salesman. You know what I mean? Like you're putting yourself in a box. You're spreading yourself thin because now you have two profiles to post on when you could just have one, be more relatable. To me, if somebody asked me, what's the point of social media, right? Which is basically kind of what you asked me in a nutshell. But the point of social media to me is to show your audience who you are, to be yourself on social media. It's your platform, right?
It's like your magazine.
It's your life. It's your movie. It's your story,
You
right?
follow me.
Right.
You chose to pay a subscription service,
hmm
and now I'm sending you my magazine.
Right.
And now you're flipping through it, and you're
Right.
looking through the magazine
Bro,
that
it's
you
a-
decided to
It's
subscribe
our
for.
own movies. It's our own documentaries. That's what social media is. It's our own documentaries. And stories is called a story for a reason. Reels are called reels for a reason. You're supposed to keep it real,
Yeah.
right? Stories, you're supposed to tell your story. And there's a reason why they go away in 24 hours because they want you to give your everyday story. But so the psychological aspect of it is you're supposed to be you on social media. So if you're taking out your job, then you're not being fully you on social media. People like to put the fun stuff, the hype. You know, I'm in this fancy car. I just bought this purse. I just got this watch. You know what I mean? Like they post all that, but you know, they're not posting their failures, which you should because now you're being more relatable. You know?
And that's the thing about it, where I have seen stories where I'm like, yo, you're getting a little too real because now I know you're going through some shit. I know you're maybe not
Yeah, but don't
psychologically.
be Debbie Downer. Like
That's what
don't
I'm saying.
not every day posting
That's
that.
yeah. Where it's
'cause
like
now you're just looking for attention.
I don't even want to fuck with you because
Right.
now I don't even know if you can handle my clients.
Well, there's a balance that you
Right.
should have for
Right.
sure. I mean, obviously, you're not gonna post every single thing on social media. You have to have a balance and make sure that you're balanced. That you are being real with stuff. You are being realistic.
I think for my like to answer my own question, like what's the point of social media? Like I think it's more or less for me personally, and I've talked about this many times, it's a creative outlet.
Right.
Right? Like the
That's what
filters, the
Instagram wants you
dancing,
to-
the
yeah.
music,
Yep.
the pictures, whether it's a selfie and an edit, right? So I'm using Snapseed
Yeah.
or I've always enjoyed photography. So,
Yeah.
you know, or really
Yeah. Everybody gets to be a creator.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's literally what it is for me. A creator with people that like me, people that are entertained by me. And if you're not entertained by it or if it offends you and
You
all
have
that
the
other
choice
stuff,
to leave.
yeah, but not in a bad way, right?
Mhm.
Not like fuck you and
Yeah,
animosity. It's
right.
just hey, it's like I've talked about this where I have quite a few followers across all social media platforms, and I've done the math, and it's like, dude, if 1% of my followers like commented and I went through the negative comments of it, I would feel like crap.
Mm.
If I accepted their truth as my truth, which is not, and I don't need to work with everybody.
Right.
Right? I've been in this business long enough where I can fire a client. Like, hey man, you're disrespectful or whatever it is, or you're trying to do some shady shit. Like, I can't work with you.
Right.
It's that simple. So
Yep.
everybody, we've been taught for many years in our field as lenders or as entrepreneurs or even as a restaurant the customer's always right. The customer's
Negative.
not always right.
No, they're not.
You're not right. Get the fuck out. You're not
Mhm.
disrespecting my employee or whatever it is,
Right.
right? The customer's not always right.
But you have to be in an entrepreneur mindset and physically to do that. Like if I was a manager at a restaurant,
Mhm.
I'm forced to say the customer's always right. 'Cause
Sure.
it's not my business. But when you run your own business, like myself and like you, we do have the choice to say, hey, look, it's not worth it. I've walked away from thousands of dollars before because I didn't feel valued by that client. And I told them, I do not feel valued by you anymore. I'm out. And they're shocked.
Yes.
You're going to walk away from $3,000 a month? Actually, yes, because I'm going to go make more than that now because now I don't have the stress of dealing with you.
It's like, I'm sorry. I cannot, I really have to apologize, but I cannot deliver what your expectations are.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, for restaurants, for example, they're scared, they don't know, but you have to post. Anytime that you're in sales, dude, tattoo artist, hairstylist. I'm like, why aren't you posting, look at this frumpy girl, how she came in, and look at this beautiful girl that walked out now.
Mhm.
Look at this dude that had this,
Before and
nappy ass
afters are
head.
huge, yeah.
Do that.
You're showing proof
the
in the
cooking
pudding,
stuff,
yeah. Mhm.
right? Like if you have a restaurant, like you should have somebody in the kitchen, like you do with the donuts.
Yeah,
Beginning to end.
right.
But people are so afraid of it, either as a business or as an entrepreneur, for judgment. Maybe they don't think it's worth their time. And the thing that you just said is you're building longevity and the brand, right? You talked at the very beginning earlier about the brand. For me, and I always tell this to people, stop thinking about social media at the instant gratification that just because you do a post, you're going to get a client.
Mhm.
I'm buying brain cells the entire time.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing. I'm buying brain cells. I didn't start doing loans yesterday. I started doing loans 22 years ago. I don't plan on doing loans for maybe another 20 years,
Right.
like maybe at a lower level. But the whole time, I'm buying brain cells on my side, whether it's like the clothing company, whether it's the charities that I support, any type of need and event, I can literally go to my audience, which a lot of them are friends, yet on TikTok, there's too many damn people. I can't.
Yeah. Well, when you're TikTok famous, it's hard to keep up with those.
It's very, very, very hard to keep up.
I've managed huge accounts before, and I'm just like, no wonder they create like bots and systems to where it just automatically responds to things. Like it's just way too much. It's not possible for one human to be able to manage that.
No. So what I do is from TikTok, I say, hey, look, go to my Instagram. I
Yeah.
can connect with you there.
Right.
And I've created, and I don't want to say a tribe, but I've
It's more
created.
dialed in. Yeah.
It's just a group of people that fuck with me, a group of people that like a certain aspect of my life. Obviously, the same thing on TikTok, right? But when I'm talking about Instagram specifically, it's like, okay, these are friends. These are people that relate to me on some
Right.
level. These are people that I can potentially work with or have worked with in the
Right.
past. But I am not using my social media for business.
Right.
I am not the suited and booted person just talking about real estate. I am not just talking about real estate. I am George Amelos, who happens to be a lender.
Right. And you like dancing.
I love twerking. So I think it's that, man. I think people fail to understand that social media is a longevity thing. It's
Mhm.
not going away.
Yep.
And if you're in any type of career, when you think career, think longevity
Yeah.
and not instant gratification. The instant gratification are the click funnels. The instant gratifications are the ad pages,
Yep.
the Google AdWords, the metadata that you can do all behind the scenes, which are additional items. But the
They're
social
also-
media,
They're also forever changing.
yes, they are.
And
But the social media is something different. That's
Right.
like I'm trying to differentiate to say it's
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
hey, if you want the quick buck, there's a
There's
way to do
systems,
it.
right.
There's systems for it. But your social media should not be looked at that way.
Right. Yep.
It can occur and it can happen, but social media is a longer platform,
Right.
a slower burn. Like you got to date them for a while.
Yes. It's exactly what I coach, bro.
Oh, okay.
The AI is like it's like going on a date.
Yeah.
You have to show it what you like, show it what you don't like, show your interests, show your trends, and then it's going to get to know you. And then it'll grow you after that because it's a relationship. You're building a relationship with an artificial intelligence. That's what the world's come to, and it's only going to get deeper into it with all the different VR things that are coming out. Like, and if you're not on social media, more power to you. You know, like I said, it's not for everybody. If you're not creative, that's why you hire people like me.
We're out of time.
Oh, it makes a noise.
Yeah.
Tight. That's why I hire people like me.
Yeah,
That's how I finished it. Yeah, perfect. Right on, dude.